Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to my channel. So you just picked up a new Mavic 2 Pro or a Mavic Air 2, or you picked up a new drone, either way, and you've gone out and you found some footage that you thought would be epic, and you get home, you take the SD card out and you put it in your computer, you put the footage into your editing software, or even just try playing the footage off your computer, and it's jittery. Well, there's a handful of things that go into making your footage jerky or jittery. So let's go through those and let's talk about some remedies. Okay, so one of the remedies I want to talk about for jittery footage is the 180-degree rule. You want to make sure that your shutter speed is twice your frame rate. For the Mavic 2 Pro, for example, you can pick 4K at either 24, 25, or 30 frames per second. So if you're to choose 25 frames per second, you're going to want to make a shutter speed 1/50th of a second. Okay, now again, the purpose of this video is to not go in depth on how the 180-degree rule works. Basically, though, in a nutshell, a video consists of hundreds of frames or hundreds of pictures that, when put in sequence with one another, create motion. And to make a long story short, making your shutter speed double your frame rate just creates the most natural looking motion. So aside from not following the 180-degree rule, another cause for jittery footage, at least in my case, was having to record in an H.265 codec. Now, why was I having to record in an H.265 codec with my Mavic 2 Pro? Well, in order to gain the best picture quality out of your Mavic 2 Pro and many other drones, such as the Air 2 as well, is to shoot your video in D-Log. What that does is it creates flatter image, but gives you a higher dynamic range, which then in turn gives you more flexibility in post for color grading. Also, with the correct settings, D-Log can create the sharpest image as well. Now, the issue for me with the 2.65 codec is that my computer seemed to have a bit of a rough time processing that footage. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You can see here on the right side, watch the trees as they go by. It's almost like tick, 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 tick. It's driving me freaking nuts. So, if you feel like your computer's having a rough time processing that 2.65 codec that you have to record in when you're using D-Log on your drone, you want to change that codec on that footage or encode it. On the Mac, it's really easy. Just right click on your thumbnail, go down to the bottom at encode selected video files. Then you're just going to select the resolution. Mine was 4K, so I'm going to do 2160. And here's your new codec, H.264. So we're going to encode, or in other words, change the codec of this footage from H.265 to H.264, which is an easier codec for some computers to read over H.265. Now, after you click continue, you'll see this gear here turning on the top. Okay, and when it's done, your new file will pop up here underneath the original. Go ahead and open that up. Let's go ahead and go to it. Now look. Look at those trees passing by on the right-hand side. Just smooth like butter. There you go. So encoding the footage or changing the codec from H.265 to H.264 made the footage easier for the computer to process, thus making your footage smoother. Alright, so there you go. Quick fix. If your footage from your drone, particularly your Mavic 2 Pro, seems jittery or seems like it's like skipping a beat, make sure you're obeying that 180-degree rule. Make sure your shutter speed is twice that of your frame rate. If you're recording in 24 frames per second, your shutter speed should be 1/50th of a second. If you're in 30 frames per second, your shutter speed should be 1/60th of a second. As well, make sure you're using a good SD card. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope this helps. Happy flying. See ya.